All right, so welcome to NeuroLinguistic programming class. Like I say, and I keep saying, you've got to take this class very seriously because it helps you study and understand the mind, the way the mind works. We need to start all over again because there's been a lot of break in transmission, as it were, so that we can follow through. I'd like you to have your writing materials and your book so that you can take down notes and write down every distinction. Yes, we'll talk about the theoretical, scientific, psychological part of whatever we're discussing, and then we'll move on to the life application. Because what good is neurolinguistic programming if there's no life application? So that whatever ideas we're sharing, relate it to how you can use it in your workplace, how you can use it in your business, how you can use it as it relates to people. All right, so this is very important dimension. So we know that neurolinguistic programming focuses on three things. Number one, how you think, how people think, how you think and how people think. Number two, what you say. The linguistic part there is the way you use words, the way you use words. We believe that words play a major role in the quality of our lives, and we believe that words can also determine our thinking process. As a matter of fact, our words are a reflection of our thinking. Our words are a reflection of what's going on in our minds. And then the next thing, P there stands for programming, and it actually means installation, to install something, like when you look at, if you're conversant with the computer or you're conversant with mobile applications with your phone, one of the things you know is that you install, literally puts down that mobile app, into the phone and becomes part of the phone. The phone can be used now to do whatever that app can do. So we believe that human beings can actually download or install literally any habits. We can install systems, we can install patterns, we can program ourselves, we can reprogram ourselves, we can deprogram ourselves. And so it doesn't matter who you are meeting as a life coach, understand that you can change people with the techniques, with the tips, with the ideas we share in neurolinguistic programming. We can help anybody. I mean, people that suffer from phobias, people that suffer from inferiority complex, people that need to believe in themselves. And I'm sure that even in your life, you encounter people, or at least you're a parent or a grandparent, and you have children that you relate with. How do you understand their psychology? How do you work with them? And how do you make them better persons in society? So neurolinguistic programming helps us to go into the minds of people, see how they are thinking, listen to the words they are saying, and then help them install or remove, so that we can deprogram a person and reprogram a person. And we'll be understanding these terms as we go on in the course of our speaking. Now, if you're writing down something, I'd like to write this down. NLP, we call it NLP for short. NLP is a pseudo-scientific approach to communication. Pseudo means that in the scientific world, even in the medical world and the psychological world, there's still a major contest between people that do hardcore traditional psychology and the neurolinguistic programming people. Neurolinguistic programming was started by Richard Bandler and John Grinder in 1975. And when they started this whole thing, they had clashes with the traditional professors in psychology because some of their ideas were contrary to the conventional. They were outside the box. The interesting thing about NLP and what they did at that time was that though the ideas produced faster results, while traditional therapy, Gestalt, and many other kinds of psychology worked over time, NLP worked faster. They believed that, and one of the things that made them work faster was that they focused more on application of the psychology, of the techniques and the strategies. And because they focused on application, they got better results. So we say NLP is a pseudo-scientific approach to communication, personal development, and psychotherapy. If you're writing, I think you need to write that down. It's a pseudo-scientific, pseudo is spelled P-S-E-U-D-O, scientific approach to communication, personal development, and psychotherapy. So we see from that definition that with NLP, you can develop yourself. You can make yourself better. You can get yourself out of stress. You can get yourself out of anxiety. There are techniques you can use. There are visualization techniques you can use. You can set better goals and achieve them better. You can bring out the best in you just using the techniques that NLP use. And beyond yourself, you can also help others. So again, we don't need to lay the fact that NLP was created by Richard Bandler and John Grinder. Now, there are certain things I need to highlight, and if you've followed me, I've taught this before. There are certain philosophies, or like when you go to a church, they say the church has doctrines, or the church has tenets. Maybe you're Catholic. In the Catholic Church, you have beliefs of the church. In a school or whatever, you have certain tenets, things that you follow. And so for us in NLP, we have certain beliefs or certain what we call presuppositions. I would like you to write down that word, presuppositions. Presuppostion, just like assumptions. We believe this to be true. We just believe them to be true. And because we believe it to be true, we get results because we believe. So there's certain philosophies that we follow and we pursue. And every time we approach a patient, or we are meeting an audience, or meeting some individuals, we use these doctrines or tenets or assumptions or presuppositions to make our judgments. All right. So when we're evaluating people, we're evaluating them based on these tenets, and there are about 14 of them. I'm just going to list them, and I'll try to explain them today. And then after that, we'll go into the NLP model of communication, because a lot of things, NLP has a lot to do with communication. You see, neuro, meaning the way we think, linguistic, meaning the way we talk and speak, a lot of speaking and talking, affirmations in NLP, and then programming installation. So let's start with the number one thing, that the convenient assumptions or presuppositions that we believe in NLP. The first thing that we believe in NLP is that, number one, respect for other person's model of the world. Respect for other people's model of the world. So if I meet you, it doesn't matter how much I think I know. The first thing that we do, first of all, the first thing we do primarily is to respect your model, M-O-D-E-L. The way, because we all look at the world differently. We don't see things as we are. We don't see things as the world really is. We see things as we are. So we wear goggles to look at life. We have presumptions, we have paradigms, we have mentalities, we have mindsets. We see the world, we have a map of the world in our heads. We have what's called internal representations. And that's a word I need you to write down. Internal representation. Every living creature has a way he sees the world, has a way he sees marriage, has a way he sees money, has a way he sees God. Even people in the same faith, maybe Catholics, you see people in Catholics, but they still see God. They approach their faith, their religion differently. And so the first thing that we do when we meet people is not to condemn them or to make them feel inferior, but to respect their model of the world, the way they see the world. Because for you to influence others, you must first know what is already influencing them. For you to help anybody, you must first appreciate what has brought them to where they are. Even in the negative sense, when you see a person act aggressively, the reason why he's acting aggressively is because of the way he sees the world. So you got to appreciate it. And if a person is successfully acting aggressively and getting negative results, it means that through his view of the world, his blueprint of the world, is able to achieve that results, though negative. And so you got to respect. So the first presupposition that we have in NLP is that we must respect people's opinions, respect people's model of the world. That's the first thing. You cannot change them until you first respect them. And they must sense in their spirit or in their subconscious that you respect them. That's when you connect. That's when you can develop rapport. We discussed rapport one of those days. But this is where we understand that when it comes to developing rapport, connection with people, you must respect them. Number two presupposition that we talk about a lot in NLP is The meaning of communication is not simply what you intend, but also the response that you get. The meaning, I want you to write that down. The meaning of communication is not simply what you intend, but also the response that you get. All right. So what does that mean? What does that second thing mean? So when we talk about, I don't know if you got that definition down. The meaning of communication is not simply what you intend, but also the response that you get. So sometimes we say something to people, and we think this is what we mean. These are our thoughts. This is our code. But the interpretation from the recipients or from the decoders, as we call them technically, the people who receive information, the interpretation, the feedback we get doesn't seem to align with what we're saying. So we say in NLP that communication is not what you said. Communication is what the feedback you received from the person who heard what you said. So the meaning of communication is not dependent on the contents, your good intention. The meaning of communication is dependent on the feedback you receive. So we focus a lot on feedback than we focus on what we give out. What really shows that we're effective communicators is the feedback we receive. So our focus all the time has to be on the quality of feedback we are receiving. And if you start having that thinking, some people in a life application, you have people who say things like, I am talking to my child is not responding. I've been instructing my child, I've been talking to my child every day and every night, telling the child doesn't seem to make sense, doesn't seem to want to answer, want to do the right thing. Why is the person not doing the right thing? And then you now realize that in NLP, we say the child is not at fault. It's the teacher or the parent at fault. The parent has not found a way to create a teaching strategy or an instruction strategy that will get across to that child and get the child to give him back or her back the quality of feedback. So we are obsessed with feedback. We as teachers, as communicators, as NLP practitioners, as life coaches, we are obsessed with feedback. We are sensitive to feedback. We're looking out for what people say, how they respond to us. And we're using that to measure the quality of our delivery, the quality of our communication. So in NLP, we believe that meaning is not what you said. Meaning is what the other person interpreted it to be. And this will help you. Because some of us, we try to claim I'm right. I said this, I get this instruction. But if they are not giving you back what you said, it means that you didn't communicate effectively. And that paradigm shift will help you. So in NLP, that's how we look at things. We're talking about the presupposition of NLP. And the first thing that we look at is respect people's view of the world. That's the first thing. Second thing you want to look at, and we also pay attention to, is that the meaning of communication is not simply what you intend, but what the response that you get. Let's go to the third presuppositions, or like tenets or assumptions. What's the third thing that we look at and we accept as a doctrine or a philosophy that we embrace in NeuroLinguistic programming? When I started learning NLP, it turned my life around. Trust me. Aside my faith in God and in Christ, that has helped me very much. Just mastering these subjects, just looking at it and studying it for years, for more than 15 years, studying it again and again, listening to the masters teach it. My life has taken a turn around. I'm a better person. I've become a better husband. I have a beautiful marriage because I have this understanding. I've become a better father. I know how to work with my children, and I'm hoping that as I teach them and show them, they're turning out to become something better in life. I've become a better leader. I have a better employer. I have people who work with me for many years. In fact, I usually say again and again that I'm probably the best employer, because I'm learning these philosophies, learning these doctrines, and I'm using them even in my business. My business is growing because of this stuff. So I want to encourage you to take your time to master NLP and to study it religiously, just like you study the Bible. It has plenty life application. So the third thing that, and this thing turned my life around, it helped me to overcome stress. It also helped me to become a more confident person, even on the podium. A lot of people who are, sometimes not very confident speaking or relating with people, when you understand this third presupposition or doctrine of NLP, to help you to become better. So let's look at it. It says that the mind and the body affect each other. That seems like a very simple thing, but it's very powerful. The mind and the body affects each other. In fact, there's a relationship, there's a nexus, a connection between the mind and the body. We believe that mind and body are one. Mind and body are one. So that whatever happens to your mind affects your body. And whatever affects your body affects your mind. I don't know if you've ever been sick before or you've felt just tired. Are you able to think at that season of your life? Are you able to be productive, to be creative in your thinking, to be strategic? You find out that you really can't be strategic or productive when your body is tired. In the same vein, if you have information overload or you're stressed out mentally, you worked out and you're stressed out, and then you find out that, hey, this is giving you can't, your body becomes tired because you're drained mentally, you're also drained physically. So there's a nexus between the physiology and the psychology. I'd like you to write down those two words, physiology and psychology. If you attend our public speaking school, one of the things I teach a scientific approach to overcome stage frights, and we stay on this. We use number 3 to teach it, that there's a nexus between your mind and your body. So we believe that if we can manipulate our body, it will impact on our mind. So one of the ways to increase the quality of your thinking, your psychology, give yourself joy, nostalgia, enthusiasm, is to exercise your body. Quality movement inspires quality emotion. So there is no good emotion if there's no good movement. Emotion will cause emotion to be stirred up. So when you move your body, if you move your body, your mind will be stirred up, will be excited. So you can manipulate our body. Even when you're tired, even when you're drained mentally, you can actually stand up, do some exercises, do something with your body, move in a particular way, and then you stir up your emotions. This is very powerful. And I've taught this before, that if a child is crying, usually the physiology of the child is that the child's head is low, is down. And that's one of the ways to get the child to at least start thinking straight, get better quickly, is to get the child to lift up his head higher. Because that posture of his head higher is a posture of confidence. It's not a posture of crying. Child will literally stop crying. So when children are crying, they bend down their head. When you lift up their heads, that's straight. So if somebody is coming to you for counseling and the person is sad, or the person is sad, use from his body, because our emotions literally is buried in our body. And you don't have to tell me you're sad. I'll look at your eye, I'll look at your physiology, I'll look at the body, and I'll quickly know that this person is not feeling good at the moment. It's not good. So if I'm going to do a change, if I'm going to cause a radical change, an immediate change, I will not just talk to you. I won't just say words to you. That will play a major role. I'll tell you to move your body. I'll either push you, tell you to stand up, do some exercise, do some, make you laugh to the point where you stand up, play with you a bit, so that in moving your body, in moving that person's body, you stir up his emotions, and of course, he becomes a lot better. So if a person is talking to you, the person is slouching, discouraged, that person obviously is not happy. So you break the pattern by telling him to sit up straight, relax. You can give that instructions to him, and just by changing his body movement, he'll start feeling better. So because in NLP, we believe that the mind and the body impact a lot on each other. I do that to my children. I get my children to stand up straight. And, there's a physiological pattern. Write down the word physiological pattern. What does physiological pattern mean? There's a way we use our body, move our body, that impacts heavily on our mind. So the posture, the way you pose when you're stage, the way you pose when you're moving, the way you sit down and talk to people, the way you shake hands with other people, the way you move. I mean, you've got to be deliberate and intentional and develop patterns of excellence through your movement. So that, because you know that those movements, the way you dress, the way you approach things, the way you walk, all of that impacts on the quality of your mind. Like for those who speak in public, I tell them that your appearance influences your confidence. You dress, when I have big stage meetings, I have, excuse me, very big stage meetings, I'm having an event and there's going to be a large crowd. One of the things I quickly do is, and maybe I'm feeling a bit jittery and quality people will be there, I'll go get myself a new suit. I get myself a very, very quality suit. The best. Go there, make sure the suit sits well on me. It's customized, it's custom made, and then that impacts my psychology. Try that anytime you have an engagement, whatever engagement it may be, and you're feeling jitters, go get a good dress to wear. Just have a touch on your body, and you see how much impact it will make on your mind. So number 3 says, and there's a lot to talk about this, but I don't want to dwell too much on that because we have some other things to look at. Number 3 says that the mind and the body affect each other. Number 4 says that people respond to their experience, not to the reality itself. And so people are emotional. Let me repeat for those of you who are writing. People respond to their experience, not to reality itself. So there's so much emphasis and talk about reality. Oh, let's be realistic here. But in reality, in the real sense of the word, people respond to their experience, not to the, it's not about what is, it's how are they feeling at the moment. And that is a presupposition in NLP. Let's move to number 5. Now, this is very striking. It looks very controversial. For those of you who listen to this, you think, are you sure this is correct? But it's a philosophy, it's a tenet, it's a doctrine that we teach in NLP. And this is it. Every behavior has a positive intention. Everyone is doing the best they can with the resources they have. I'd like to repeat it. Every behavior has a positive intention. Everyone is doing the best they can with the resources they have. That is strange. For some people, they may not agree with it. But I tell you what, even a negative intention, even a negative behavior has underneath it a positive, something that you can leverage on. All right. Let me give you an example. Sometimes anger can be good. Anger has its place. Anger has its place. Anger can be redirected positively. You know, somebody can be angry for a good cause. There are certain emotions. Hatred has its own positive place. You can hate something that you don't like. You know what I mean? Just hate it. It has its own flip side. You know, hatred, envy, or jealousy can stir you up to become better. You look at a person doing well, and you just say to yourself, this guy does not follow. It doesn't match up. I mean, I went to school, I have a university degree, I've done a master's, I have a PhD, and this person does it. Yes, look what the person is doing. You know, and that's kind of envy. Some envy is that thing that we really don't want to admit that we have, but we all have envy and jealousy in some measure. But you see, you can turn it around, and that envy now has a positive intention. It stirs you up to become better, stirs you up to outclass yourself. So every behavior has a positive intention. And the B part of that presupposition is that everybody is doing the best they can with the resources they have. Okay. He also says that people make the best choices they can at that time. I mean, you see a lady. No, I'm not justifying prostitution, but if you've ever had, and for those of you who may want to have that kind of, like in the Christendom, we say ministry. For those of you who want to have that kind of ministry, or that's where you want to flow, you'll notice that most of these prostitutes, not all of them, are just prostituting for money. their motive is not money. A lot of them have issues in their lives. A lot of them, life has put them to a certain corner. And that's the reason why we don't judge people quickly. We don't judge people quickly. You know, we need to understand that they are prostituting for a reason. There's a reason why they, and if they have something that can, of course, there are people, a few of them who do it habitually, a few of them who are negative people. So of course we know that. But we know that there are some who have, you know, some positive reasons why they are there, to raise funds, to go to school, send their children to school. You know, we've had cases where prostitutes actually use their prostitution money to send their children to school. For those of you who know the Bible, there's a story of Rahab. Rahab delivered the children of Rahab was a prostitute, but she was the one who helped keep the spies so that they can spy the land of Jericho before they left and came back. And they gave her the opportunity to save herself and her family, which she did, if you know that story. So don't be too quick to judge. Be the last person to judge. That's what we do in NLP. Be the last person. Be empathetic. One of the major philosophies we have, be empathetic. Always be empathetic. It will help you to help others. You know, and when people know that you are empathetic towards them, that you are not sympathetic, sympathies, you're just looking at them and saying, hey, yeah, and all that, you can't help them. Empathy is looking at empathy in the true sense of it, is looking at things from their own perspective. And imagine that you were in their shoes, seeking first to understand before you understood. Because indeed, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And when you become very empathetic, you will help people. You become a fantastic parent, a fantastic wife, a fantastic husband, a fantastic employee, a fantastic employer. Life will become better for you because you now realize that people go through a whole lot that you imagine, you know. And so that leads us to number 6. That leads us to number 6. And number 6 presupposition is this: behavior is geared towards adaptation. For those of you who are writing, I'll repeat it. Behavior is geared, G-E-A-R-E-D, towards adaptation. So every time people behave, they are behaving because they want to adapt. We are adaptive creatures. We want to adapt. You know, we behave because we are hypocritical, as it were. Yeah, most humans are hypocritical. So we are behaving because of context, situation. Our behavior is situational. Sometimes our behavior is not us, indeed. Our behavior is because of. So you see people in church. In church, they behave like saints. They behave accordingly. But outside of church, you see a husband in church, he's behaving very well, behaving very nice, very responsible. I mean, you cannot imagine him beating his wife at home. In the church environment, he's the toast of everybody. People talk about him, people like him. And then when he gets home, he becomes a lion. And then when you're reporting your husband to your pastor or to your counselor, the pastor can't seem to reconcile the man at home and the man in church, because that environment has made him adapt. His behavior has, it's made him adapt to that situation. Take him out of that space, he becomes a different person. So behavior is geared towards adaptation. The number 7th thing, presupposition, is that the 7th thing that we say is accept the person, change the behavior. So that's the 7th presupposition. Accept the person, and then you change the behavior. So that's the way we go. All right, you don't have to agree with this philosophy, but these are the tenets that we use to get results, fast results. Let's go to number 9 or number 8. Behavior and change are to be evaluated in terms of context and ecology. Just write them down. I'm going to explain what it means. Behavior and change are to be evaluated in terms of context and ecology. Behavior and change are to be evaluated in terms of context and ecology.
Thank you so much.
I've heard a lot about it.
All right. Sorry for that break. I needed to ease myself. So we're still talking about presuppositions. And for those of you who just joined us, some of you joining, and I'm sure that some of you are also leaving. I understand the reason why you're joining and leaving. But if you are still with us, NLP is a very interesting and exciting program. It will turn your life around. And understand that you can become a life coach. When you hear the word, oh, George ACN is a life coach, what do we mean by that? It means that you have learned this technology, you have learned this science, and you are using it. You are using it to help others and to improve yourself, to make yourself better. You see, you don't have to worry anymore. A lot of you suffer from anxieties and you take drugs. I don't take drugs to handle anxiety because I know certain techniques I can use and get better. And I'm now a better leader, human relations top notch. I read people quickly because I understand the presupposition. The number 8 presupposition says that behavior and change are to be evaluated in terms of context and ecology. What does that mean? It means that everything is contextual. People do things in context. And I look at, somebody will do this thing here, and in another situation, he will do something differently. In this situation, someone says, I cannot kill a human being. It's true. But in context, in a war situation, to save yourself, as self-defense, you may have to kill. And that will not mean in any way that you're a sinner. If in self-defense you kill, you're not a sinner. You didn't murder, you didn't wake up one morning to kill anybody. So we evaluate behavior and change in context. I'll give you an example. A certain father came to a life coach, a counselor, someone who was involved. His name was Erickson Milton. We talk a lot about him in NLP. Erickson Milton had this father show up and was complaining bitterly about the daughter. The daughter was very unruly, very stubborn. Giving the father a tough time. And all the father thought about was how unruly the child was. And so because Erickson Milton, who, by the way, is one of those people that the founders of NLP decoded, modeled, because he knew a few things about psychology, he reframed the father. He asked the father a simple question. He said to the father, wait a minute. I know, yes, this child is, in your world, this child is doing terrible things, very stubborn, very adamant. But let's look at another context. Let's assume that this stubborn daughter of yours is in the back of a car and a young teenager is trying to, rape her. Do you think that in that context, that stubbornness will come in handy? And just by reframing the father, helping the father see that behavior in another situation, in another context. But I was like, oh, yeah, it's true. Yes. Her stubbornness, her aggressiveness will come in handy. So behavior and change are to be evaluated in terms of context and ecology. Ecology means the study of consequence. You write that down. I'm going to explain that as we go through this class, what ecology means. We think in terms of ecology. Ecology is not in the biological sense, for those who read biology. In NLP, the word ecology means the study of consequence. Let me just do a little explanation of that so I don't just pass it and then forget to teach you. When you don't just do things, you are particular about your ecology. So you don't just set goals. you think about the ecology, the consequences of your decisions, the consequences of your actions. Even if you think you're doing the right thing, think of the context, think of the consequences, the ecology. How does this action, how does this decision affect my husband, my wife, my children, my family? How does it affect my community? How does this go? So if you think like that, you become responsible. So we say that the goals that we set have to be responsible. They are responsible to the degree to which they put into cognizance the ecology, the people around you, the consequences of our action. Every action that you are taking has consequences, or every action you are not taking has consequences. Your choice has consequences. Your indecision is a decision and it's impacting people. So you've got to be particular about the consequences of your decisions, the consequences of your association, the consequences of the things you do. And also, that's for you and for others. You can bring to light the consequences of their actions, help them see in a broader perspective how that their decision, what they did or didn't do, has impacted this and that and that. That gives them a broader perspective, and that enables them to change and become better. So that's ecology. I will look at it better in the future. Number 9, people have all, and this is the part I like so much. This has truly, really helped me. The 9th presupposition of NLP has truly helped me to become a better person, even as an individual. And this is what it says. People have all the resources that they need to make the changes that they want. People have all the resources that they need to make the changes that they want. That means that you, right now, you have everything you need. The maker, NLP seems to believe that the infinite intelligence, the supreme being, our God, our maker, our creator, did not leave us on earth helpless. The number of people who are incapacitated are very infinitesimal. The number of people who cannot do anything, who cannot become anything, they're very little. It's almost non-existent. We believe that everybody has anything it takes to become whatever he wants to be. So depression, you have the resources in you to overcome depression. Anger, you have the resources to tame your anger. For every phobia, every challenge you have, there are resources you have, just that you have not explored them and you have not exploited them. All that you have is all that you need to achieve anything you want to achieve in life. You have the talent, you have the skills, you have the memory. I mean, it doesn't matter what has happened to you, it doesn't matter how much failure you have. You have enough memory of success to encourage you to pull through that failure experience. It doesn't matter how terrible life has been to you. There is enough memory of success, how big is small, that is sufficient enough to help you, to give you the power, the impetus to move through the situation of life. So we believe that people have resources, just that they are not aware. And so we bring to consciousness, we bring to the awareness the things they have. People have a lot. I mean, when a child person comes and says he's helpless, he really is not helpless. He has chosen to be blind, to ignore all of the processes or resources that he has. And I mean, people have stuff. This is a very powerful presupposition. And I'm also saying this to you right now. I don't know what you're going through, but I believe that it doesn't matter how difficult, how bad, you have all it takes on the inside to get out of it. Stop looking for solution outside. There is solution on your inside. You have ideas, you have experiences, you have expertise, you have connections, you have skills, you have talents, you have information. You just have not looked. And so don't be overwhelmed don't be inundated by the pressure of the circumstance. You want to look within you critically, intelligently, and find out what is the way forward in my life. You have people around you that seem to be helpless. Get them to that state where you can talk to them and help them see life from another perspective. Does it make sense? Let's look at number 11. The 11th presupposition of NLP is that there is no failure. Can you imagine that? We believe in NLP that there is nothing like failure. Nothing like failure. There's only feedback. Only feedback. So when you fail in life, you in NLP will say, what did you
Number
do?
11 or number 10?
That's number 11. Or is that number 11? That's number 10. That's number 10. Thank you for getting me at that? That's number 10. There is no failure, there's only feedback. Oh, that is so powerful. Doesn't matter what happens to you, there is feedback. What feedback are you receiving? Failure is only an opportunity to begin again intelligently. Don't allow failure to be weights. Allow them to be wings. You can either choose to make failure a monument or choose to make failure a fleeting moment. Don't allow failure to be the end. Only allow it to be the bend, just the bend. Failure should be a comma, not a full stop. I mean, this rhyme, these things I'm sharing, may seem like cliches, it seem like platitudes, but they really matter. In NLP, we don't believe in failure. We believe in outcomes. What did you get from that? What did you learn from that? So we believe that when you learn from that situation and try again with a new strategy, you get a better result. So success is learning from failure, all right, and then doing it better. But now, there's something that we do, which I want you to pay attention to, something that we say about failing. We say that you don't have to fail yourself. You don't have to fail yourself. And even if you fail, fine, that's fine. But you don't have to always fail yourself. The people have failed already. So wisdom. So wisdom is and wisdom is learning from other people's mistakes and avoiding them. Experience is learning from your own mistakes. And there's a level of experience that you must have in life. There's a level of experience that my children must have, your children must have. I mean, for those of you who are grandparents, people who you employ. But you want to, you can't keep allowing them to fail and fail and fail. It can batter their image, their self-image, and affect them terribly. You want to move from there to that point where they learn from others. So there's a concept in NLP we call modeling, M-O-D-E-L-I-N-G. We believe that we don't have to make people's mistakes. We don't have to make people's mistakes as long as we can learn from their mistakes. We also believe that if we copy people's successes, we achieve the same success. If we copy people's success, we achieve people's success. All we have to do is study people. In fact, one of the definitions of NLP is that NLP is the study of excellence. We study excellence. You become a student of people. The founders of NLP, that's how they created this body of knowledge. They look out for the best life coaches and the best therapists in the 1970s. 1960s into 1970s, they realized that Virginia Satir, a lady who was involved in life coaching, her specialty was in helping married couples, to either divorce and still be friends or not to divorce anymore and still stay married. She had so much success in working with married couples. It didn't matter the situation. She would talk with the woman, talk with the man, and they would either come together, or if they were leaving the marriage, they would leave and still be friends. She had results. She was one of the best family therapists in the entire America region at that time. She had books she had written. You may want to check her out. Virginia Satir, Virginia Virginia Satir, Satir, a woman, family therapist, an amazing woman. And her own pattern, she used a certain pattern where she didn't allow people to speak in vague terms. So you come and you talk about your wife, how that your wife is a very bad woman. Oh, my wife, hey, and she remind you, say, okay, how bad? Yeah, it's a bad one. Say, how really bad? Can you be more specific? So she moved the conversation from obscurity or from ambiguity to specificity, from vagueness to tell me in specific terms. In what situation? Give me in context. Tell me. So as the men or the woman, in whatever situation, began to talk in specific terms, they realized that they were literally exaggerating the situation. When we look at marital issues, sometimes the issues are exaggerated. When you want to go to the specifics, you realize there's really nothing to cause an alarm or to cause this issue. So she had success in that regard, and the founders of NLP put together has philosophy and call it the precision model. And I'll teach you that in the coming days, the precision model, how to get through the fluff of vagueness, the fluff of ambiguity. People are very ambiguous. People are very trance-like. They believe things that are not specific. When you look at them very well, they are very vague, very vague. So you want to challenge them, break them from that hypnosis of vagueness, that hypnosis of ambiguity into specific. Be precise. Okay, what are you want to get this? You want to get a millionaire. How do you want? People are not specific. They want to be blessed. They go to church for prayer to be blessed, but they don't have specific strategy. They're not thinking in terms of specific terms. So that I have not gone out of my context. I'm trying to say that she, Virginia Sitter, they studied Virginia Sitter, and the goal was to condense, to copy her, and to use whatever strategy she was using to get results in their life therapy business, their life coaching business. Same thing with Eric Milton. He was crippled, but was an amazing people. So he used the flip side of what Virginia Satir used. He used a flip side. What he would do, he would speak in ambiguous terms. He will use hypnotic language and will teach you how to speak. And most of you who fall into the hands of fraudsters, by the time you become aware of language pattern, of what people use that can make you think like as if you're hypnotized. And that's why I'm always very careful about when I work with people. I'm always conscious and aware that we're going to show you and teach you how to speak in a manner that can put people into positive trance or positive hypnosis. Now, there's a negative side to hypnosis, okay, where we've got to be careful. But with a certain language pattern you use, and people slip into hypnosis, into some kind of trance, and that trance-like state enables them to see a future and move towards that future. You can do that for your children. You can literally, quote unquote, hypnotize them for success and install certain philosophies, certain values, certain programs, certain culture, certain traditions in their mind. So as they grow with it. So when they get into the real world, doesn't matter what people try, they are in programs, with words I have said. And so we'll teach you all of this. So Milton did the flip side, he used a lot of ambiguous statements. He moved from specificity to ambiguity, and he got people into trance. And I'll teach you step by step how to do that in the coming days as you stay with me, as you learn NLP. For those of you who have not registered, I decided to open this up for some people to join so they can have a taste of this training. Trust me, it will turn your life around. I'm going to stop at number 11. And then when we have another class, for those of you who are paid, people pay as much as 100,000 naira to be part of this training. I know that Joy Okereke paid 100,000 naira to be part of this training. I know that Mrs. Anne, who lives in Abuja, also paid 90,000. She goes in 100,000. Mrs. Chibus all the way from Wari also paid 100,000. So we allow some get to have a tidbit of this. I'm going to continue with them in the coming days. We'll fix a time where we'll have another meeting, and I want you to follow it because it's an exam. When you pass the exam and you get a great score, you must get a great score from our affiliates in our sponsors in America. You become a life coach. Imagine you being a life coach. Imagine how that places you in society. Imagine how that places you. I mean, the feeling is amazing. And so let's look at, as I begin to wrap up, just quickly look at, is NLP, is there a life application? Of course, there's a lot of life application of NLP. Number one, NLP will enable you to achieve your goals. I had a conversation with Joy, and I taught her about goal setting as we teach in NLP, and I'm probably going to teach that again. Because every year we set goals. How do we set your goals? NLP can enable you to achieve your goals. Most of you need to align a values alignment. You need to start aligning your values. Most of you don't have values at all, or you've not developed values. NLP will help you to align your values. NLP will enable you to eliminate limiting beliefs. Some of you don't think you can achieve certain things in life. using NLP strategies, visualization techniques, the affirmations, and a few other tips, switch pattern, pattern interrupts, thoughts, all those kind of things. When we teach you that, we teach you how to break away from limiting beliefs and make quality decisions that will turn your life around. And not just for you, how you can help others. Okay, so NLP also enables you to identify clear outcomes in all areas of your life. It's become an outcome thinker. Even in your workplace, people start knowing you as a very productive person. You're always thinking in terms of outcomes. So what's next? Moving forward, we have this result. What's next? It teaches you how to condition your mind to think that way. It also enables you to release unwanted emotions. You don't want to poison your body and poison your mind with unwanted emotions. Is there a way, is there a strategy to remove unwanted emotions from your system? Because they're actually poisons. They stimulate biochemicals in your body that destroy you, give you diabetes, give you hypertension, give you kidney failure. Because remember we said that there's a link between the mind and the body. The state of the mind is the state of the body. If the mind is bad, the body is bad. And you can trace every illness like diabetes, arthritis, hypertension, to negative thinking, to skewed thinking. And so we teach you how to work on your thoughts positively. All right. So it also improves your relationship with people, and your marriage becomes better because you now know what to do. You know how to make it work. NLP is a fantastic personal development subject. If you want to grow yourself, you want to discipline yourself, you want to learn how to develop expertise in whatever area, NLP will also help you. It also enables you to deal with phobias. There are certain kinds of phobias, like extreme fears, and people have fears. I used to have the fear of flight, and because of that, I really like to fly around. But by using NLP techniques, and using it regularly, I started conditioning your mind to start seeing things differently, start enjoying rather than dwelling on negative thoughts that will impact and destroy my body and destroy me, make me worried, and not make me enjoy the flight. I now take my time to enjoy flights as I travel around the country and around Africa. So by using NLP techniques, it will also help you to build confidence. A lot of people don't know that confidence is a major part of life, of your business. Confidence is what convinces people, not necessarily the content that you have, but confidence. It will increase your sales. You now understand certain persuasion techniques, that will help you become a better salesperson. If you are a multi-level marketer, if you're an entrepreneur, whatever it is you're doing that involves marketing, by the time you understand the psychology of men, you will better know how to persuade them. And then, fantastic, it will improve your communication by far. It will improve your communication by far. You become such an amazing communicator. And then people will want to be around you. You become a magnet that attracts people. They just like you. They don't know why they like you. There's something we call rapport. How to get instantaneous rapport. There's a teaching on it. How to make people like you. You get to a place, you don't know why they like you. You become magnetic. You become hypnotic. People want to be around you. You become the light that attracts the insect. You have a team with people around you because you know what to say. You know how to say it. You know how to move. You know how to touch them deeply. You know how to touch them. You know what to say to touch them deeply. You know how to lead effectively. So it will help you to improve your communication. Very fantastic. And finally, among other things that NLP does, it helps you to be a very fantastic coach, a fantastic life coach. And I trust that as we have learned today, I'm going to take some questions and reactions from us. When we meet again, we'll discuss, we'll take it step by step. We have just done the presuppositions, the tenets. Every church has a belief. Okay, so NLP, we have beliefs. We looked at 11. We have 4 more to go. The presuppositions of NLP. And when we have our next class, I'll review it again, then finish the last part. Then we'll move to the next curriculum, the next part of the curriculum of NLP, and that is the NLP model of communication. Actually, we're supposed to treat that today. But I just felt since we are trying to get people to be reminded of what we taught, let me start with that again. So you remember that literally covers a large chunk of what we teach in NLP. And then we'll now move on to the communication model. When you understand, I'm going to make sure that I have a diagram on the screen. I'll show you slides when I'm teaching you. So you can draw. In fact, I want you to, one of the assignments will be to draw the diagram and to start observing it as you move around diagram as it works. For those of you who attended class on Sunday, public speaking class, we talked about being a dynamic communicator. That was child's play. If you felt that was good, that was child's play. What when we learn NeuroLinguistic programming model of communication, you'll be shocked about a few things, even about your life, and you'll see how to become a lot more effective as a communicator. My belief is that if you take your time, I'm not going to hurry about this, is if you take your time, master it and practice it, go to on the internet and study. We have videos, we have materials we recommend that we share with you. I'd like you to be consistent in joining the class. We give ourselves some timing, and I trust that you turn out to be a fantastic person. It's all for the good of humanity. I thank you for listening to me. God bless you. So I would